For as long as there have been secrets, there's been this epic battle. On one side, you've got the code makers, trying to build these impenetrable walls of secrecy. And on the other, the code breakers, whose entire job is to tear them down. It's this timeless arms race of information. And in this explainer, we're going to dig into the secret history of how these codes get built, and maybe more importantly, how they get broken. All right, let's jump right in.
Okay, first things first, we need to get one crucial distinction straight. There are basically two ways you can go about protecting information. You can hide it. That's a technique called steganography. Think of it like hiding a secret message behind a bush. The problem? Well, if someone stumbles upon it, game over. Your secret's out. Or you can lock it up using encryption. Now, this is more like putting your data in a super strong treasure chest. It can be sitting right there in plain view, but without the key, it's totally safe. And for our purposes, we're going to be talking all about those locked containers.
And that really brings us to the big question, right? This cat and mouse game is not new. I mean, we're talking thousands of years of this constant struggle, trying to build the perfect, unbreakable lock, while someone else is always trying to forge the perfect key to break it. So how exactly has this incredible arms race evolved over time? So our story starts way back, in the ancient world, with nothing more than pen and paper. Seriously. This is where the fundamental ideas of cryptography, going all the way back to people like Julius Caesar, were first hammered out. So the most basic form of encryption is what's called a substitution cipher. And the concept is super simple. You just swap out each letter for a number, like A is 1, B is 2, and so on. So hello becomes 0805121215. It's a pretty simple trick, right? But hey, back then, it was effective. For a little while, at least. All right, so to make things a little bit tougher, code makers came up with the shift cipher. The idea here is you take the entire alphabet and you just slide it over by a few places. So with the shift of, say, 5, H now becomes M, E becomes J, and suddenly your code is just that little bit harder to guess. And this whole cat and mouse game is seriously ancient. We're talking more than 2,000 years ago. The Greeks were already using these clever grid systems. They'd turn letters into coordinates on a grid, so a C might become 1, 3. It just added another layer of complexity. It really goes to show you this desire for unbreakable codes, it's pretty much as old as civilization itself. But, pen and paper can only get you so far. The next massive leap in this arms race wasn't about math. It was about mechanics. Human ingenuity kicked into high gear, turning these simple ideas into really complex physical machines. Okay, get a load of this. All the way back in 1790, Thomas Jefferson, that Thomas Jefferson, invented the cipher wheel. It's basically a bunch of disks, and each one has the alphabet scrambled on it in a random order. So to send a secret message, you'd spell it out, and then you just copy any other random line of text from the cylinder. The thing is, without an identical device set up in the exact same order, the message was just total gibberish. Pretty brilliant, right? Now, this mechanical race really hit its peak during World War II. You've probably heard of these infamous devices, right? Germany's Enigma machine, Japan's Purple cipher machine. They took that basic concept of a cipher wheel and evolved it into this electromechanical nightmare of complexity. Cracking these codes wasn't just some fun puzzle, it literally became a deciding factor in who won the war. And from there, the arms race went digital. With the dawn of computers, the power to create and break codes just exploded. It moved out of these secret spy agencies and off the battlefields and pretty much into the hands of everyone. And the leap to digital standards was absolutely massive. I mean, back in the 70s, the gold standard was something called DES. It had a 56-bit key, which for decades was considered super strong. But it was eventually cracked by just brute force in 1998. Then came its successor, AES, in 2001. And AES, wow, it uses a key size so mind-bogglingly large that it's considered secure enough for top-secret government data. For all practical purposes, it's unbreakable. And here's the part that is a total game changer. That same military-grade, top-secret level encryption, it isn't locked away in some government vault anymore. Nope, it is available for free in everyday software, stuff like 7-Zip. With just a few clicks, literally anyone can create a digital fortress that is mathematically unbreakable by even the most powerful supercomputers on the planet. Think about that. So that brings us to this really fascinating paradox. If literally anyone can create a code that's unbreakable, how does anyone ever get caught? I mean, how do investigators possibly get past these digital walls?
Well, here's the secret. They don't attack the wall. They go for the person who built it. See, the whole focus of modern code breaking has shifted away from the complex math and onto the predictable, fallible, and let's be honest, often careless people who use the technology. The weakest link isn't the algorithm anymore, it's the human.
So how does this actually work? It really all comes down to the keys. With what's called symmetric encryption, you have one key that both locks and unlocks the data. The weakness there is pretty obvious, right? You have to share the key with someone, and that creates a huge security risk. So asymmetric encryption solves this. It uses two keys, a public one to lock the data, which you can give to absolutely anyone, and a private one that only you have to unlock it. Think of it like this. Imagine you have an infinite supply of open lockboxes. That's your public key. Anyone in the world can grab one, put a message inside for you, and snap it shut. But here's the magic part. Once it's locked, only you, with your one and only private key, can ever open it again. It is an incredibly elegant and secure system. So if the system itself is that secure, where's the vulnerability? It all boils down to one simple, powerful truth. The main weakness of any encryption method is the user. I mean, let's face it, we humans are creatures of habit and convenience, and that is the vulnerability. We use weak, super guessable passwords. We reuse the same password for everything. We write them down on sticky notes, or even worse, save them in unsecured text files on our computers. We basically create our own backdoors. And that's exactly what investigators go after. They don't waste a second trying to break the unbreakable math of AES-256. No way. Instead, they use tools to attack the password. They run what are called dictionary attacks, just trying millions of common words and variations every single second, betting that the user chose something weak. They're not attacking the math, they're attacking the human flaw. So what's the big takeaway from this whole 2,000-year story of secrecy and deception? It really all boils down to one simple, powerful idea. You know, from those ancient Greek grids to World War II's Enigma and now to today's digital fortresses, this whole arms race has led us to a place where the encryption itself is, well, it's pretty much perfect. The final battlefield isn't the code anymore. It's the person using it. It's us. Because when you think about it, the strongest, most mathematically secure digital fortress in the entire world is completely useless if the key is password 123, or if it's written on a sticky note stuck to your monitor. That fortress is only as good as the key you left under the doormat. Which really leads to one final question. Where have you left yours?